My moment has arrived. My time is now. Will I follow through, or will I cower and bow? A specter is haunting us. Its evil no longer lay. It threatens our traditions. It must be driven away. Sun Tzu tells us that in the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. I must seize this opportunity and unsheath my father's blade. Forged from the strongest metal, it will guide me along the way. Let the tip enter his chest, but plunge it to the hilt. Cast the Akuma from the land our emperor has built.
All right, let's do the raffle. Today, this is for the David Parker Ray case from last week. All right, so for last week's raffle, we have 12 entries. Choose winner now. And
All right,
choose winners now. Marty Bass.
congrats.
Congratulations.
Marty Bass, thank you so much for entering. I'll send that to you ASAP. So, all right, we got some good comments too. I'm not going to go through them because we're going to try to get this story out right here. But you may have noticed last week that I put a bunch of snippets on YouTube. I'm starting that up this year. I'm going to try to do that every time. So this story, there'll be some good snippets on there too for you guys. So tonight we're doing a special request for Nicole's sister, Danielle.
Oh.
And I know she's not in Japan anymore.
No, they just got back to the States.
They just got back. She happy to be back?
Very happy. Very, very,
Things
very
are
happy.
going well in Tennessee so far?
So far, so good. People are nice. They got their express shipment anyway. So,
Good.
it's going well.
Oh, we almost forgot
We did almost forget.
to do a surprise shop, which is for everyone.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
guys.
Christmas.
No, let's do it for Santa so he can be really fucking drunk when he's flying over.
Santa gets a DUI. I wonder if they have a...
What's that one song? It's like, I saw my mom in bed with Santa
No,
it's
that's...
or something like that.
I
That's
saw
not what it
Mommy
is.
kissing Santa Claus.
Oh, that's what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like...
Which I definitely had a problem with when I was a child, that song. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, Mom's cheating on Dad with Santa? Like, why are we condoning this behavior as a society with this song?
Only you would have thoughts
ho,
like that.
ho.
Like, only you would go that in depth about being concerned about that. Everyone else
comes
over
your
here...
present.
Oh my God, stop.
Dick in a box?
Oh, I see
Take a
your...
look inside. It's a dick in a box. Yeah. Then there was a Dr. Demento version of I Saw Daddy Kissing Santa Claus.
Oh.
But other than Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, there really is no song that addresses Santa getting a DUI. And maybe we should write one.
Well, he wouldn't get a DUI. He would get a FUI, flying under the influence.
Okay, so we'll fooey.
Which doesn't sound as good as Dewey.
No, we were still trying to get that one to catch on.
But we will maybe work on that for next year, and it'll be a hit. And I'll pay off my student loans with it. Anyway, for this song, still looking for royalties, but that's okay. Excuse me.
I don't think anyone's going to steal that from you.
That's the new intro. Surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
I kind of like how the shot glasses, no, let me say not kind of. I definitely like how Dee's shot glasses are not clear, so you can't tell what's in them. Because I can see the color that yours is in that shot glass, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to like this.
You'll be okay. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, Merry Christmas. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Dude, what the
I'm
fuck?
not going to like this.
You'll be
Cheers.
okay.
This is tequila.
No. Wild turkey.
No. Oh my God, it burns so bad. Ugh.
It's good if you have a sore throat.
Ugh.
It'll help soothe it. That's
Yeah,
what they put it in hot toddies.
I wouldn't hate it in a hot toddy, but ugh.
I haven't had a hot toddy in a very long time.
All right, tonight we are going to Japan. And take a look at this guy. What year do you think this guy?
1954.
He looks diabolical.
1937.
1962.
You already guessed, Jen.
I thought we were going back and forth.
All right, this guy, he's evil looking, man.
Yeah,
He is.
he looks like a villain.
Yeah, from James Bond. Or
Yes,
something. Yeah.
yes.
He
Which we
just
were
needs-
just talking about with
He just
your
needs a
dad.
cat.
Simulating petting the evil cat.
I wasn't sure what
He's
you were
got-
doing.
Half a cat on there. He probably
It's a
ate the
feather.
rest of the cat.
Oh my God, stop it.
They do that over there, don't they?
I know. Well, no, I think that's China.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to comment on something that I'm not totally sure of.
All right, so this guy, and I'll put these YouTube clippets on. I'm going to get better at that, I promise. But if you can go to Talk Murder to see all these photos.
I literally have tears in my eyes after that shot.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to judge. I'm not judging, but like we've been doing this for so long. Like how?
Ugh. I just don't like straight whiskey, man. It's just ugh.
You should have sipped it instead of.
No, you should have. Next time we'll just put a tampon in there and have it soak up so she can suck on the tampon.
No,
Or
what's
maybe
it
Be
one
called?
of
like an interesting
Boofing.
lollipop. Oh
Little
god.
boofing.
I think I would prefer that
Oh
in
shit!
this instance.
I'll boof. If y'all have, if you give me a challenge for something, I'll boof the entire episode.
But hang on, here's the thing. You've got a different boofing hole than Jen and I do. So
No, oh,
No, you put it. You don't put it in your vagines.
no,
No?
yeah, no. Boofing is the same for everyone. Equal
Oh.
opportunity boofing.
You put boofs in your boots.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
You're thinking about the proper use of a tampon.
Yeah.
If you guys have a challenge for all three of us, who is
I'm
somewhat
not putting anything up my butt.
I'm not
Hang
agreeing
on.
to that. No, I am not agreeing
I'm not
to
putting
that.
anything up my butt. But I think it's interesting that you volunteered that
That's-
right away.
Yeah, I would.
That's not what you
if
said
we,
last
if we
night.
if we have a challenge that you want to challenge us, I think if John loses said challenge, his thing can be boofing, but I will not
no.
boof.
No, me
Here's here. This for the pie. It's your job. So
It's my
No.
job to boof.
if somebody presents us with a good challenge that all three of us can compete with each other in, the loser would have to boof an entire episode. And boofing
No.
includes putting
No.
whiskey on a tampon and shoving it up your
No.
boots.
no, will not agree to.
Nope. No.
Nothing's going.
No. Also, you do. Oh, no. I'm just not going to say it right now, but no.
The only thing that's ever going to go up my
What?
boots is a
Okay,
colonoscopy.
a tampon
sir.
expands.
Yes.
So,
Ew,
yeah,
gross.
that would hurt a lot taking it out.
Yeah.
Of your boots?
Yes.
Yeah.
What does it?
It would hurt.
You'd have
It
to
would hurt
take
a
some
lot.
muscle relaxers.
It would hurt a
No.
lot.
You'd probably end up in the ER.
That would be quite the story.
Could you imagine the ER tech that's like talking to their family at dinner time or talking to their friends in the break room on break? Yeah, this guy just came in. He had a tampon stuck up his asshole.
Soaked in whiskey.
I'm going to open up a boofing bar.
Actually, that is kind of a great idea because I'm sure people are into that.
Yeah,
But-
maybe in like a red light district or something.
Like Somerville. All right. Tonight we are going to Japan. We're going to October 12th, 1960. So if this is your first time here, this is the Talk Murder to Me podcast. My name is John. I'm sitting here with Jen and Nicole. Tonight's story is exceptional. It actually has a photo that will go down in the annals
Oh,
I see what you did there.
of history in general. This is a Pulitzer Prize winning photo.
Oh.
this photo?
No, not
I was
this
going to
photo.
say, it is a great photo
yeah,
of
it's a
the
nice
guy.
portrait. Yeah.
The photo you're going to see is an action shot. And I'm going to actually show you the video because it was viewed by millions and the whole video is here of the murder. I'm going to show you that first, and there's a lot of movement in the video. So the photo is taken, and once you see the photo, you'll understand why it's a masterpiece. You know how they call it, how some art you see and you just understand right away it's a masterpiece.
Uh-huh.
Like like the Scream or whatever.
Yeah.
You understand it's a masterpiece. This photo, you just understand it's a Pulitzer Prize winner.
Okay.
Like automatically. But anyway, we're going to 3:03. It's either 3:03 or 3:05 p.m.
Okay.
I got two conflicting sources there.
Huh.
I know that's a long time apart.
Well, if you didn't say that, someone would have said it's 3:05.
But
actually.
also, I mean, like if you're into astrology, you know, the exact time of your birth is important, so it does matter.
5:34 a.m.
Really? I was 4:20
because your mom was smoking the doobs in the Denny's bathroom. It's like, oop, there's Jen. Oh shit, in the toilet.
Did y'all see the Snoop on a stoop
Yes.
No.
things?
Yeah, they also have Blanche on a ranch.
That's
like
funny.
Blanche from Golden Girls riding a bottle of ranch dressing.
That's awesome.
All right.
Thought about getting it.
You know what? I'm going to cut it in half. We're going to 3:04 p.m.
All right, close.
That's a good compromise.
October 12th, 1960. Jen, you may have seen this on TikTok. I know somebody posted on TikTok and I think it got like 12 likes or something. Anyway, because, you know, it's black and white and people don't like history. They like rappers.
Well, did you know that the new
They like rappers that destroy like an entire arena, and I don't know what happened.
Well, Denzel Washington has a new version of not a new version, a new Macbeth movie out, and it was shot entirely in black and white. So that they're still
Was it
making
like-
black and white films.
Yeah, if low budget. All right, tonight we're going to October 12th, 1960, 3:04 p.m. There were 1,000 people in attendance. This is at the Hibiya Hall. This is in Tokyo.
Okay.
And back in the day, I don't know why it changed, or maybe this was just some American newspapers, but they would spell Tokyo Tokio instead of YO.
Interesting.
I saw that in a few American newspapers.
Oh,
But we are going to the Hibiya Hall, which is still there to this day. It's a big concert theater. And there was a political debate going on. And give us a brief right quick about 1960. What do you think the atmosphere was like in Japan? Obviously, there was something that happened 15 years prior.
Right, the war ended.
Not only that, but
the bomb.
the bombs, right? From what I don't actually believe that happened.
Oh, stop it.
I'm a bomb denier.
Oh God. Is that even a thing?
I didn't know that was a thing. Well, we're talking about in American culture or Japanese culture or both.
No, Japanese culture. Yeah,
Well, I think
We're-
we've covered this before, right? Weren't the kid like there was that whole generation of that spawned anime, like the kids didn't want. Right.
Yeah.
You got to refresh my memory, but we've talked about that on a previous case.
So the kids in Japan at the time, she's talking about after the war ended, we bombed Japan. They did sort of like what we did with the hippie revolution, where everyone was protesting war, and especially the young generation. It was exactly the same as ours, except for, you know, Jimi Hendrix and all the music we were listening to. I don't think they had that sort of culture there, so they turned to children's cartoons, and they started defying their parents by watching children's cartoons. And this is 30-year-old kids, or, you know, 20 to 30, whatever. And that spawned anime, what we know today as anime. So it's kind of interesting. But let me ask you a question. Was Japan at that time, 1960, pro or against America?
I think they were working to improve relations. That's when Kennedy came into office and into the presidential.
I'm going to say pro because I think we had established bases at this point.
Okay.
Not that matters, but you know what I mean.
So who you're seeing on the screen right now is the person that was talking. He was at the podium. His name is Inejiro Asanuma.
Asanuma Inejiro.
He was a high-level socialist leader. So at the time, you had two camps with Japan, and we'll get into this a little bit, but you had the pro-democracy, America comes over, installs democracy, because before that it was like a feudal system.
Emperor and
Yeah. So it went to a militaristic society. Then it goes to the emperor, which is going to be very important in this case. And then society in general is what I mean, turns more to the democratic American ideals, capitalism and all that stuff. However, you have a large percent of the population that were trying to adopt communism, and that's through China. So this is a very delicate situation. I mean, their entire culture is unbalanced at this point. I talked about this before, but in Japan, even during the Second World War, when they went to fight America and even the Soviet Union, the mothers would actually give their sons a dagger when they, you know how a mother sends the son off to war? The mother would give the son a dagger and say, if you get caught, use this to kill yourself. That was the culture at the time. I think it's fucking awesome mindset. There's actually a lot of cases that after the war was over, there were still fighters that refused to believe that Japan had given up. And I remember...
Because that's so against...
Yeah, so I remember... Because before the emperor tells the Japanese soldiers, if... Like, you will not give up. This is going to be a war. If Japan loses the war, from what their mindset was... that would mean there was no Japan left. There was literature saying that if it got to it, the women and children would be fighting with bamboo sticks. Every Japanese person in Japan would die for their country. That is the mindset. Which is a fucking great mindset to have, dude.
Yeah, you don't get that today, though.
Fuck no. You never get that shit today. But anyway... So that is the political climate we're going in. So that kind of prefaces what you're about to see. And this shit is fucking crazy. So you definitely want to see this on talkmore.com. I'll put the video, a Giphy, and the actual still photo that won the Pulitzer Prize. But anyway, 3:04 p.m. October 12th, 1960, 1,000 people sitting, Hibiya Hall. Everyone's yelling at, communism, down with communism. And the other side, F you or whatever they say in Japan. The socialist leader right here, Asanuma, and he was striving to improve relationships with China because he wanted to adopt communism. He is up talking and he just starts his speech. Somebody in the crowd shouts, quote, "Shut up, communist, down with Peking," end quote. Now, you'll see in the video, he puts his arm up to kind of silence them. When someone shouts out, when a public speaker is speaking, he's like, okay, whatever. Yeah. So his arm is up. To his left, this socialist leader, quote, turned casually, then gasped in horror. For there, running at him full tilt, was Otoya Yamaguchi, holding his father's samurai sword before him, end quote.
Wow.
So this is the fucking video. This shit is fucking crazy.
Socialist chief Inejiro Asanuma, one of the leaders of opposition to the Japanese-American Security Treaty, is marked for death in moments under an assassin sword. A fanatic student rushes on stage and stabs him in the chest.
So you'll see a better photo of the actual insertion of the sword. But what did you see there? You saw a mass load of people. Now, the Pulitzer Prize photo isn't taken until all those people are trying to rip this assassin, this Otoya, off of the socialist leader. And that is why it is a Pulitzer Prize, because he's actually going in for a second stab. And it's not just a stab wound. It's an 11-inch deep through the entire chest. Out the back, 11 inches out the back. He's pretty much dead on the spot. Okay, this is the video right here, and I'll put this on talkmore.com. This is the actual video.
選挙の際には国民に信を問わない。その時には何にも主張し
You hear people yelling.
Yeah.
People are fucking frustrated because they do not want to go to communism from Japan. Now, it wasn't communism before. It was, I don't know what they were doing. It was like an authoritarian, but it wasn't full communism. All right, you see, he put his hands up right there.
Okay.
Look at that. Oh my God. You see that?
Yeah.
Do you see the force that he ran into the guy? That's the assassin right there. You guys, you have to see this on talkmurder.com. This is fucking, this will change your life. This is the Giphy somebody made. It's perfect. But you see the force. You see the sword going right into his
It's like right
stomach.
under the rib cage on the side.
But
No,
look
you see it come out the other side.
look how fast he's going into this socialist leader. That is how much hatred and emotion he's putting into it. I mean, it's not like the Kennedys or Saran or anyone else, even Lee Harvey Oswald, where you can shoot afar and maybe get away. This guy was going in knowing that his life is over. And he is, I mean, look at him. He's going straight in. That is straight hatred right there. So isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah.
This is a Pulitzer Prize winning photo right here I'm going to show you. And I'll put this on talkmore.com. But this is right after this incident. So he tries to unsuccessfully stab him again. Then he was taken down. He didn't need to, but he didn't know this. But this one wound right here, all the way through the fucking stomach, literally, you see it going right in. Perfect. Tore up all his internal organs, shredded them all to shreds. This is the Pulitzer Prize winning photo right here.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That was after he was stabbed already. He's going in for a second time.
Wow.
Is that not the perfect photo?
That's incredible.
That's
What
an
a
amazing shot. Yeah.
So he's like looking kind of down. He's not looking into the eyes of this guy.
No, he's looking at where he's going to
aiming,
stab him next.
He is completely ninja focused, if you will.
Yeah.
Just completely on point. What do you guys think about that? Fucking crazy, right?
That is.
Fucking crazy. So this socialist leader, he barely opens his mouth. Someone shouts, "Shut up, communist, down with Peking." To his left, he turns casually, gasp in horror, for there, running at him full tilt, was Otoya, holding his father's samurai sword before him. Asanuma held his arms to ward off the attack, but death was already upon him, end quote.
Wow.
That is from those words.
Wow. How long did he?
Well, he
did
was
it take
the
for him to die?
the hospital was 2 blocks away, and he was dead before he even left the parking lot. He was pretty much dead after that. There's nothing you can do. It tore off all of his organs, his colon, kidneys. I mean, you saw it go right through all that stuff, straight cut.
But I wouldn't have automatically assumed him to die that quickly because it wasn't in the heart or anything like that. But yeah, that was a
shock.
big sword that went.
Well, it actually is not a huge sword.
Through his.
Look, if you look at the
stomach.
sword,
The size of a Subway sandwich.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you eat a Subway sandwich that tall? That's like a 12-incher. I think. I think
it's a foot long.
It's a foot long.
That's true. This sword is 13 inches long. Now, the sword is not a samurai sword, and I'll get into what it is. This sword is actually banned in Japan right here.
Oh, wow.
The assassin lowered his head so he can have a lower center of balance, as you see right there. This socialist leader backed into the podium. He drove the sword with his entire body weight. You see how... Let me go back. His entire body weight is there. Yeah. Like every amount of energy he could muster, it was going straight into him. Look at that. Just trained him.
Yep.
Like a fucking freight train, just right into him. Wow. Fucking nuts, right?
Now, did you say how old he was?
Which
the
one?
Assassin or
The assassin 17.
Wow, really?
The socialist leader 61. Now, what you probably can't tell because we're not Japanese, but the assassin, the Otoya, he is wearing a school uniform, so all the papers said a student, and there were a lot of student protesters at this point. This photo was a Pulitzer Prize winning photo by Yasushi Nagayo. The photo was taken directly after the assassin stabbed Asanuma, and here is attempting a second stab, although he was restrained before that could happen. It says that the photographer pointed his camera at the pair just before he plunged his weapon into Asanuma for a second time. The resulting image won a Pulitzer Prize in 1961. In this stunning photograph, Asunuma's collapsing body hovers just above his own name written on a political banner at the back of the stage. So right below his arms is his name. Kind of crazy.
Huh.
What do you guys think of all this shit? Nuts, right?
That's crazy. I was asking his age. I mean, obviously not, since he was only 17, but I was asking because like maybe this is a war tactic that he would like trained for.
Oh, interesting.
Or, you know, did he?
That's a good question, actually. His father was a very high-ranking official, a general in the military in Japan. So that also comes up. Now, this guy is super right-wing for democracy. It took me a long time to figure out exactly his ideals, but you have Japan splitting up their thousands and thousands of years of emperor, the shogun, all this stuff. You see in movies how the tradition, that is now being split up during this time. That is very stressful and turbulent for everyone. So you have people like Otoya trying to promote the U.S. to come in, bring democracy, which is why they're called ultra right wing over there, because what the fuck did the U.S. just do? We just bombed the shit out of them 15 years ago. And now he wants to, you know what I'm saying? Most of the Japanese people didn't want anything to do with America at that point. Obviously, fuck. I saw one paper quote it, and this is the best quote I've ever seen. These times were like a, quote, fragile lotus blossom, end quote. Now, this is from the News and Observer, Thursday, November 3rd, 1960. So this is a little less than a month later, if you want to read this.
Young assassin takes own life in Japan prison.
Oh.
Police said the body of the young fanatic who stabbed Socialist Party chairman Inejiro Asanuma October 12th was still warm when found at 8:30 p.m. Artificial respiration was applied in vain.
They actually applied artificial respiration for 3 hours, which I don't know if I believe.
That's kind of excessive, I feel like.
Yeah.
Scribbled on his cell wall was the following quote, Sichichi, I'll put it on talkmore.com, but it says the translation is to serve one's country for 7 lives. Long live the emperor. So
That was on his walls?
that was on the wall scribbled with toothpaste.
Oh.
And then he stands on the toilet. He takes bed sheets. He strips down the bed sheets, like you tear them and they strip like bacon. And then he wraps around his neck, stands on the toilet, puts it around a light aperture, which is fucking ceiling light. And then he just, hangs himself. So he killed himself not even a month later.
It is sometimes difficult to comprehend the extreme sacrifices the Japanese made in the name of the emperor. This can perhaps be best viewed, however, as extreme patriotism. Japanese were taught to give their lives if necessary for their emperor. But this was not entirely different from the Americans who gave their lives in the same war for their country and the American way. The kamikaze pilots, who were named for the divine wind, kamikaze, that destroyed the Mongol fleet in the 13th century and saved Japan from invasion, might be compared to the young Iranian soldiers fighting in suicide squadrons in the Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s, or even to the fanatical Shiites responsible for the truck bombing of the U.S. Lebanese embassy in 1983.
The suicide was actually an act of awabi, and that is a Japanese term. There's apparently 20 different ways to apologize in Japan, and one of them is killing yourself. It's fucking crazy.
That is, Japanese culture is so fascinating. I wonder if that's why they have the suicide forest over there. Like if people are, like when they go into the
Well, we have that same thing, the Golden Gate Bridge.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
they
though.
like if they go to the suicide forest.
We should go in there, all three of us, and spend a couple days.
How are we gonna get there?
Oh yeah, you're right. If we were there, like you know, they require you. Well, not require you, but you're supposed to take string with you, a big roll of string, and tie it to a tree when you first walk in, so they can at least find your dead body when you end up. Because they'll just follow the string.
See, you know me about like spirits, not a fan. So I would have to decline the invitation, but I'll FaceTime with you when you guys go.
Nope, I don't think we're going, so it's cool.
If you want to read this is from the Time magazine.
In a bleak cell at a Tokyo juvenile detention home one night last week, a mop-haired teenager mixed a palmful of tooth powder with a few drops of water and scrawled a message on the wall. Quote, 7 lives for my country, 10,000 years for His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor.
All right, so that was from the Time magazine, 14 November 1960. His suicide was an act of Awabi, and he was a group right-wing nationalist. After he committed suicide, a small group of other right-wing nationalists, which his group, the right-wing nationalists, there were only 100 of him,
Wow.
thinkers like him. Well, 100 out of the whole population.
Wow. So how do we know
It was like a Hitler thing. You remember the Nazi party was like 100 out of whatever at first.
Yeah. How do we know it was an act of Awabi versus a regular suicide?
Well, no, Awabi, that is the term. The Awabi basically means killing yourself and then doing it, like leaving a message like this. I don't know. This is like
okay,
Japanese.
because he left the message.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't understand the Japanese culture. But a group of right-wing nationalists presented the boy's parents with a burial coat and a kimono and belt. So, actually, this is before the murder. This is kind of in his mindset. This is from the Padaku Sun, 23rd April 1963.
As he ran his hand over the blade, young Yamaguchi thought of the words of his mentor, a fanatic ultra-nationalist Ben Akao, the head of the Great Japan Patriotic Society. Only a week before, Ben Akao had said, quote, there are many people in Japan who deserve to be killed.
At this point, he was 17 years old. He was in his father's closet. Remember, his father is a high-ranking general. He has one of these swords. The sword is called a wakizashi, and it was banned since 1876.
Whoa.
And it's not because, how we want to ban semi-automatic rifles and stuff like that. I was trying to look it up because, how are you going to ban a sword?
I mean, like, what makes that different than another kind of samurai sword or something like that you want on display?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the wakizashi, this is it right here. It is a small sword, about 13 inches, banned since 1876.
That's pretty cool, though.
They banned this for 2 reasons. To carry this sword, you can only be a elected official, like a police officer or something like that, or a constable or whatever. The other reason they banned it is because of its shortness, because it can be concealed. This is actually a secondary weapon. So if you think of like me overseas, for instance, or any infantry guy overseas, you carry an M4 as your primary weapon, and then on your side hip you have an M9 or whatever, a small pistol. So this is like the small pistol. It's easily concealed. You don't know that people have it because it's only 13 inches. It's like hiding a Subway sub in your pocket or something. Is that,
I just think of a trench coat.
Easily hidden.
is that a
You want to buy a watch?
Is that a Subway sandwich in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
So when it was banned, the sword hunt was performed, and this was when different officials went around to all the homes and looked for these swords to make sure no one had them. But obviously his father was a high-ranking government official. He had one. And that is one of the reasons why the case is, incredible, in my opinion. So this is the assassin right here.
Wow. He does look like it, you can't really tell in the action shot,
Yeah.
or at least I couldn't. But
Oh,
maybe
he's
you picked
young.
up on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So he plotted this assassination for 3 days. He said he had no accomplice. He also said, quote, Asanuma was a traitor who was trying to sell Japan to the communists, end quote. He was a part of the 100-member extreme right-wing Great Japan Patriotic Society. That sounds like the Proud Boys or something to me. Remember the ultra-right Proud Boys and then like the Capitol Stormers or whatever?
I was kind of thinking it reminded me a little bit of like the fascist party in Argentina that was called the Socialist Party, and it was very confusing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, you have Republicans. A lot of the Japanese people are Republicans or even right wing, but these are the right wing. We're gonna be really fucking right wing, like we're gonna make shit happen type of shit.
Remember, right? The farthest of right you can go is fascist or Nazism.
Correct.
Yeah,
And the farthest of left
Socialism.
is communism. Yeah.
So from the Guardian paper, quote, eyewitnesses said that Yamaguchi was smiling as he was taken into custody, end quote.
Wow.
So from what I figured out, he was for the United States and are vomiting democracy over everyone.
I mean, he probably saw that as a better alternative. If he was
to
if he
communism?
was a
Fuck yeah.
fascist, he would be like, well, at least it's middle of the road.
Yeah, because like I'm going to get into this a little bit, but Japan at the time was not. It was authoritarian, but it had looser restrictions. It was an empire-based system, and the emperor itself was more of it was like a pope, right? The pope is well known, well respected, but you know, if it comes to war, like I mean, what's the pope going to do? Like he doesn't really make decisions for Italy. You know what I'm saying?
No, but for the Vatican, which is its own
Well,
country.
I know, but I know. Yeah, okay. What if if someone was I guess if the Vatican was invaded, he'd
then the
make a
Swiss
decision.
Guard takes over.
Yeah, but he's not the one that's going to make that decision. So the emperor, although it used to be like this thousands of years ago when he was making the decisions, now at this point it's more of a symbol.
Yeah.
But there still is an emperor. It's
Kinda like the
King
monarchy.
Prince Henry or whatever the fuck. You know, he just
Prince Henry.
he just holds the wealth. He's not he ain't going to make any decisions.
Speaking of, I highly recommend you watch The Darkest Hour, Jen, on Netflix.
want to watch it. That's with John Lithgow, right?
It was fabulous. No, I don't think John Lithgow was in it.
Oh, no. He plays Winston Churchill in The Crown. What were I thinking of?
I don't know who played him, but it was fabulous.
I have to watch it.
Appointment with Death. Otoya Yamaguchi knew who these people were. There was communist Sanzo Nosaka and the head of the Japanese Teachers Union, Takeshi Kobayashi. They deserved to die, for they had betrayed ancient Japanese ideals, but they were not the most important enemy. The man Yamaguchi most wanted to kill was burly Inejiro Asanuma, the chief of the opposition Socialist Party. For Yamaguchi, Asanuma was the real traitor because his influence reached far into his country's policies.
You saw the photo, you saw the Giphy, you saw the video. Like he's not just doing this to do it. Like there was some emotion behind it. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that I'm thinking of is like, where does that come from? Where does that, like nothing else matters. I don't care about anything else. I'm about to die for this because in Japan, he was going to be executed. There's and with a sword, it's not like he's getting away. So like, where does that strong emotion and conviction and just laser focusedness come from? Like it's got to be something. So I'm not 100% on the history and I don't want to drudge on it either, but let's talk about it a little bit. So the U.S. occupation of Japan, 1945 through 1952, millions of Japanese protested this alliance with the United States for obvious reasons. We just fucking bombed the shit out of them. Killed like 1 million or 2 million, however many people. A lot of people. This opposition included socialist, communist, radical student organizations, which was basically him, organized labor, peace, and anti-nuclear proponents, obviously, since we dropped the nuclear bomb on them, and a wide swath of ordinary citizens who were still haunted by memories of wartime suffering. I've asked this question before, but it seemed really stupid to me that Japan would join Hitler in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is kind of off topic, but I was always just really wondered, like, why would they do that? They have no chance of winning. I mean, they have a great naval fleet, obviously, which Pearl Harbor shows. I mean, they know how to go around the naval aspect, but like Japan is too small to come up with the United States. Like, why would they try to ally with Germany?
Did it have to do with like a mutual hatred of Russia? Wasn't there like a previous conflict?
So the Soviet Union was in the process and would have tried to take over Japan from what they thought at the time. The research I pulled from here is from Columbia.edu, so Columbia University. Talks about the Depression. It talks about the Depression in Japan, just like in America. Theirs began in 1926 and ended in the mid-30s. Now, if you want to read this is from the Columbia.edu website.
The great powers not only jealously protected their special economic rights within their colonies and spheres of influence, but sought to bolster their sagging economies through high tariffs, dumping of goods, and other trade manipulation. And because, the U.S. had put on some trade embargoes and a whole bunch of sanctions against Japan before Japan bombed Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, so there's three things you need for the war. You need rubber. Japan was receiving rubber from the British. You need oil. Japan was receiving oil from the United States, and you need steel. The oil and steel, the United States was their main importer. We exported that to the Japanese. However, Roosevelt embargoed all of the oil exports to Japan, and that put a lot of pressure under them. And that put them in a very difficult situation because there's a at this point, what it's referred to as a, quote, total war, universal war here.
Truly world war.
So they're in this war right now, and they need these three things. They need rubber, they need oil, and they need steel. Their supply would last them for 6 months and then be completely exhausted. The embargo made it impossible for them to last longer than 6 months. So this put a lot of pressure on them. They didn't really care about America at the time. It was the Soviet Union. They were on the brink of war with the Soviet Union as well. They were on brink of war with the Soviet Union at the time. So if they can't get the materials needed to fight that war, then there's a lot of stressors. But before the bomb, so there's a period before the bomb and after the bomb. They were in the Meiji period. This is a government in Japan controlled by a small ruling group of elder statesmen. So it's not communism, and it's not necessarily Big Brother-ish, but it is controlled by like a parliament or, a senate or something, a group of 12 people. It's definitely unlike America, which is controlled by, we have different, we have different houses and branches, but there's one person, that is in charge, basically, even though he may be a puppet. You know what I'm saying? This is a group of elders. In 1937, Japan was also in war with China, and they hated China, completely hated China. Not only that, so this is 1937, war with China, and then 1941, what happened? December 7th.
December 7th, 1941.
A day that will live in infamy.
A date which will live in infamy.
That's when they bombed Pearl Harbor, and now they're not only in war with China, but they're also in war with the United States. So with 6 months of materials to get them through, they are pretty much screwed. So they had to make a decision, and that decision was, even though it was ridiculous from what most people would think, was to try to neutralize the United States. And then once they were neutralized, then take over the Soviet Union and then take over the United States. Japan's citizens were completely vowed for the emperor. As you saw, he wrote in toothpaste, "Long live the emperor." But
it's interesting because he was so young. Like, he would have been 2 years old when the war ended.
Exactly, but that was still the generation where they wanted to fight. That was a generation where the mom gives them the dagger and says, kill yourself, kind of thing. There's a guy I want to cover that him and his troop fought after the war ended. They were in the jungles and just killing locals and stuff like that. And like the war was already over, and they would fly in his own family members to try to convince him that the war was over and come home and stop his tyranny. But he was so convinced that this was all just a hoax, because the emperor said when
there's no way
if
that
we
they
go
would
to
give
war,
up.
yeah, he said if we go to war, there's only one or two outcomes. If we lose the war, if we lose this war with the United States, then every Japanese person is dead, and Japan is completely desolate. No Japanese person is alive. No women, no children. They fought with bamboo sticks. They're all dead. That is if we lose. If we win, there's a different story. So this guy's family was coming in and saying, we what? We gave up? We quit? No. That's fake news. There's no way. That's not what the emperor told us. That's not our tradition. We did not give up. This has got to be some kind of hoax or ploy to get us to come out to kill us. So that is the mindset. To finish this up, this is 2010, obviously. There's the guy. This is a small group of right-wing nationalists in Japan. They're still carrying on the tradition. You see the photo of Otoya Yamaguchi placed at the center of the stage, and this is where
it happened.
Yeah, this is the same spot. I don't know how they got access to this shit. I mean, maybe they went through the right channels. Maybe they just ran up there. Fucking who knows?
Or because Japan's a democracy and they can do that type of shit.
I mean, maybe, yeah, but I don't know. But this is the exact spot here, the Hibiya Public Hall. This was on Tuesday. This was 2010. This was the 50th anniversary.
Wow. There
were only 20 members involved. Now, this is of various right-wing organizations. And I'm pulling this from the Tokyo Reporter right here. It says, quote, Asanuma was a traitor to his country 50 years ago. And this is what the right-wing nationalists say. And today we have numerous traitors in Japan, said Takashi Fukunawa, a representative of the right-wing group Daya Nippon Akutu, as he stood in front of his blue sound truck in the hall's parking lot. Quote, for example, Ichiro Ozawa and the prime minister are traitors to their country. We want to send them a message, end quote. So this was 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and you see that he still got support. So this guy, Otoya, the assassin, he is martyrized.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, he's martyrized because, I mean, Japan doesn't want to be communist.
But you don't have to be like a right wing, I don't want to say like extremist, but you don't have to be extremely on that side of things to just be anti-communist. You know what I mean? Yeah, because the assassination did start a lot of protest, and it started getting people riled up. I'm telling you that right now. I mean, you basically killed the leader of the Socialist Party with a freaking sword. Holy shit. I mean, there are so many political assassinations out there, but with a sword, oh my God, that is so different. It's so like personal. It sends a message. It sends not only a message that we don't want to be communist China, it also sends a message that, you know, we're still the Japanese we still have the Japanese tradition, the culture, the bonded through steel, the sword, live by the sword, die by the sword type of mindset. Like, I mean, I think it's very powerful. You may not agree with his stance on things, but shit, man. I mean, he had some guts. 17-year-old threw his whole life away. I mean, he knew he was going to get executed. He knew he was going to probably disgrace his family. Luckily, or he made them really proud.
Yeah, I believe he did make them really proud. And I believe he made a lot of the country proud from what the sentiment was from what I got from the newspaper.
It's interesting that this is one of the few assassinations where I think like any major assassination in history, whether you're talking about like any of the Kennedys or, anything like that, where it's a defining moment in history.
Yeah.
And you think about like, well, what could have been had a JFK or an RFK survived, or, like it was almost, those assassinations were terrible in what maybe outcomes could have been for those countries. This is, I think, the first assassination. I'm trying to rack my brain for anything else, and nothing else is coming to mind, where the assassination maybe did help the country in a positive way, or as perceived, at least by this party, from not going into communism. Like, what if that was the defining moment? Like, if that guy continued his speech, continued forward with an election or whatever, and Japan became a communist nation.
Yeah.
Think about like how different they would be today. We wouldn't be allies, all those things. And I'm trying to think of another situation where I could point to something similar. But this is one of the few times where it's like, wow, that was a defining moment in history that perhaps changed course for Japan to be a democracy. And maybe that was a good thing. I don't know. Not to say that someone's death was good, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I think it was good if he's going to be communism. Anyway, that is the episode. Hope you guys like that. Go to talkmurder.com. See all those photos, videos, and all my sources on talkmurder.com. We got some great stories coming up. We got some requests coming up, and barreling on through to 300. For the next episode, we're covering a real-life character who has been betrayed in some Rob Zombie movies, or at least one. I don't know if it was accurate betrayal, but his name definitely, and we call him Dr. Satan.
Oh.
So we're going to be covering him. I also got some other good ones. I'm going to talk about what it would be like if your cheating husband throws you from an airplane. And one story. But anyway, this is Talk Murder Me. I hope you guys like it. Subscribe if you're not. And we record every Sunday, and you can join us. We live stream. We chat with you guys. That's sundaytalkmurder.com/join. And you can be part of that. But if that's all, then my name is John, sitting here with Jen and Nicole. Until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.